images are activated. You can show us the various Play Store, Google Play Store, the iOS. You can still go there, download the app, you get us straight. Otherwise, on YouTube, you can type in Danko Joseph Bill. It will also give you a live stream, and then later on, can you split it for us clearly? And then you can also get us from the various Zoom link that we have given onto you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your patience, certainly, because we're trying to, fix some technical challenges we're having in the studio, and very soon it will be over. Our speakers and people who are supposed to be on set are on now. And so we want to, in a moment, get on and start the program. Sorry for that, but we promise that next time when we start it, certainly it will be exact as we promised. And so we sincerely apologize for this delay that has affected our program as well. But I think everything is okay. So those of you who are online, good evening to you, wherever you're watching us from. By GMT is a little bit above 6:30 up to 6:40 GMT. That's in Ghana setting. And wherever you're watching, it could be morning, afternoon, evening. You're most welcome to this very important Kingdom Economic Forum, a forum that has been created to shape national discourse and then also trying to propound solutions using the godly principle, because this entire universe was created by somebody. The architect is Jesus. And so he has the master plan on which he built everything that he created. So those of you who have funny ideas about the fact that, well, this system just existed, and we want to prove to you through this economic forum that systems were laid by the creator himself. And this whole concept, we have the vision bearer. We are talking about a Kingdom Economic Forum was brought forth by a certain man of God, an individual, very intellectual, who loves God, a researcher, an author, a family man as well. And of course, he's also an elder of the Church of Pentecost, somebody who has taken his time formally. He used to work with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture as a procurement manager, and then consultant to the World Bank as well. He dreamt, and we just want to understand how this whole concept of this Kingdom Economic Forum business came about, and he will be able to tell us. So we are gladly to have Elder Ebenezer Echampon. Good to see you, Elder. Right, thank you so much for availing yourself for great things that the Lord is using you to shape the mindset of the people in the country and around the globe. But the last time I went to the social media and I was reading something about a post that you've made, and the kind of comments that had generated was saying, who is this man? Can we entreat a portion of this country to him around? Wanted to understand it. So it's good to have you around, and we are proud of you having you as an elder as well. I must add that he also one of the senior elders at the Pentecost National Worship Center, the first PI of the Church of Pentecost in Ghana, in Accra to be precise. So thank you very much for joining us. Nice having you, and it's very interesting that this forum issue came up. But would you be able to tell us the rationale? How did this whole concept come about?
Once again, we want to thank those who have joined us. We appreciate. Once again, we also we had some technical changes.
That's true. That's true.
JB, Kingdom Economic Forum came to be when one day I was just thinking through the crisis we are going through. My mind took me back, and I realized that this is not the first time as a nation or a global, this is not the first time we've had global challenges. I think it keeps on coming back. And I asked myself, so what is the problem? What is it? And I realized that, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. This statement was made by my mentor, the late Mars Morrow. When purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So when we don't know the essence of something, you try to do it anyhow. And like in your intro, you mentioned that the whole world has a manufacturer. And it always takes the manufacturer to fix a problem. But unfortunately, because of increase in knowledge, people think that they can do without the manufacturer. And that is very sad to do. But we believe, and I think that every solution has its own, every problem has its own solution in the manual of the one who created the product. So if you have a problem with your phone, it's better you deal with the manufacturer than going to the repairer, because the manufacturer knows the intricity and all the other things within the phone that will make it function properly. So therefore, God as a owner has the solution. The solution is boldly written in the Constitution He has given to us, which is the Bible. So that's why I believe that
I love that.
It's critical.
And every nation has a constitution.
Every nation has a constitution.
And you are saying the constitution of the world is Bible.
It's a Bible.
But the next question I'm asking is that how would you convince somebody who doesn't believe in your God, who doesn't believe in your Bible, to understand that this world was manufactured by somebody else?
I don't need to convince anybody. There's nothing that exists in our world that and nobody made it. The shirt you are wearing, you can't say you just have the shirt. There's absolutely nothing. In fact, the very, very manufacturing process that we have in the world proves to us that there's nothing that existed that nobody brought it to be.
Yeah.
And every individual, the Bible even fixes it. And when you read Romans, it says that you, as a person, if you are there, you know your conscience tells you that there's something behind whatever you do. Individually, they do, but just that sometimes, unfortunately, the way the Bible has been presented to some people, you always want to look at it from the negative aspect. And truthfully, every manufacturing material, manual, has a good side of the product. The condition within which the product can function perfectly, and then the caution aspect. So the Bible has been designed in such a way that even when somebody does what is wrong, because it's a manual, it has to come out for people to know that, oh, when you do this, this is the end result you're going to get. So it makes it a manual. It's not a religious book.
Right. But I hope that through this engagement over time, we'll be able to establish that the manual of the world is Bible. So that for anybody who is watching for the first time and says, well, to hell with your Bible issues. What we are dealing with this economic business, Kingdom Economic Forum, is not necessarily about the Bible, because you're not talking about theology. No. We are looking at issues that have happened over time in this world that we have met. There are issues, crises that keep coming. And I like the reference you made that some of these things, they keep coming. Why? We had health crisis. In the early days, they would tell you that we have this Spanish flu. It came, a lot of people died. Now Corona came back. In the early days, 45, when we remember the First World War, 39, and then the rest, the challenge came again. Now, if you look at what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, another political struggle again, economic crunch has also been there over years. And this one keep coming. And so what this forum seeks to understand is to be able to explore and get a basis. What are the influencing factors of all this? And is there any solution in sight? And that's basically what our vision bearer seeks to achieve through this medium. And I must also announce to you that he's not the only person who is going to be a speaker. Others will also be joining us in studio and online or Zoom as well, to also bring to speed some of the information that will be relevant to our course. And as we go ahead to discuss, there are issues that will be coming up. So we thank you very much for trying to give us the base of why this Kingdom Economic Forum was established. Other additions that you wanted to add as well?
Right. In fact, it's a platform. And I know at the moment we have great men and women who have joined us at the moment. I want them, God has given ideas to so many people. So this is just a platform where you're going to come up with ideas that are practical ideas, not theories and the like. And tonight, like you mentioned, that's a platform that we have created. We have great men who have gone through the mill, written a lot of books, and we are giving them that platform to share the ideas God has given to us. The challenge we have had is that sometimes most of it are not, when we go through crisis, it becomes so emotional. But we don't want to play that emotional card.
You don't solve crisis of emotional
with
issues.
emotions.
Okay. We deal with real issues.
Really, we need to sit back and
Proper
assess.
thought through solutions. Okay.
And sometimes we are not careful. We're not dealing with emotions. We also want to have this blame game. You want to always shift the blame.
It was this man.
To this man. But we are saying that within this kingdom, we are going to take responsibility. Okay. We are saying every problem that is happening in this country, we are the cause.
So we need to take action.
So because we are the cause, we want to take action. Okay. So until you own that you are the cause, you will not bring solution. That's correct. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, by the grace of God, the speaker is a very great man. He has written several books. Several books. I'm holding the book that I just read from the speaker. The book is titled "Who Owns the Land and Who Rules the Land?" Hi, beloved. There's this saying, but I don't think it's true, that if you want to hide anything to the black man,
put it in the book.
Put it in the book.
Because no, blacks, we are reading.
No, it's not true. This book,
we are reading.
I have read this book, and I can tell you of a fact. Well, let me tell you how I met this professor. Okay. The Church of Pentecost just had this chieftaincy Royal Conference. And I happened, as a young man, I happened to be one of the speakers. He was a speaker. Okay. So I presented a paper on the role of the traditional authorities in agricultural transformation in Ghana across the nation. Right. So after I did my presentation and I went to sit by this great man, he said that I have really given him hope that if we have such young men in this country, then there's hope for the country. Right. And statement from me. And I said, okay, let me try and get the books of this great man. And I went to buy, they has so many books. We have
a lot of it. Yeah. Africa
shall be free from poverty.
Fulfilling God's desire
for the prosperity of Africa. This is volume 3.
And
this one is
volume 1, volume 2. Then we have Abraham was rich, Jacob was rich, Isaac was rich. Why not you?
Volume 1, what volume is that?
Volume 3.
This is volume 2, and I think this is volume.
Volume 1. Yeah, volume 1.
So we are, and this book, I think that you cannot. This is a very distinct statement, but I have to say, I think every politician must read this book. Every leader in this country must read this book. Every academician must read this book. And every Ghanaian must read it. It should be a book that we should let every student in this country to go through. Okay. Who owns the land and who rules the land? We are talking about Right Reverend Professor OSEI SAFO-KANTANKA. Let me read a few profile about him.
Yeah.
You know the man we check it out.
It's very necessary.
Prof is a full professor of plant breeding and genetics for many years at the Kwame University of Science and Technology. Yeah. His research interests were on roots and tuber crops, especially cassava. Okay. His research accomplishments include the release of prey cassava varieties. So this man is not coming to talk theory, he has done something. Prey cassava varieties, Tech Banche, Inkabum, and Ifat, another one is Ifat, for cultivation by farmers. He was the first dean of students of KMUST and also made several contributions to the life of the university, including the funding of the Christian NGO African Leadership Development Center. He was ordained a Methodist minister while still a lecturer. On retirement from the university, he was appointed a director for lay ministers and later on was elected as the bishop of the Massive Diocese of the Methodist Church in Ghana. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He served as the presiding member of the Asante South District Assembly. He has been in politics also. And also as a chairman of the management board of CSIR, PROF Research Institute, and chairman of the Council of the Christian Science University College. He is a conference speaker and a gifted Bible teacher. The major emphasis of his teaching is leadership development based on the Bible for the eradication of poverty in Africa. Wow. On retirement from active ministry in the Methodist Church, he has founded the Bifurcated teaching ministry.
Yeah.
And in which he undertakes teachings in churches and organizations.
Okay.
And on radio and television. An important rank of his ministry is the movement for the eradication of poverty in Africa through the church. In short, MEPA. He is married to Mary and are blessed with 5 adult children and many grandchildren.
Maybe there's one thing you saw didn't add.
Yeah.
He's a man of prayer.
Wow.
We met one time at a chair when I was doing my service at Takrade, where I joined a Methodist group there, and they were going to a chair for prayers. Not knowing Professor was the one who was leading. And that was the time I met him. He is a man of fire. He prays a lot. And that's why a lot of things are revealed to him by God. So we are proud to have him this evening as our main guest. So Prof, if you can hear, you are joining us from Kumasi by Zoom. Good evening to you and welcome.
Good evening.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yes, can we hear Prof now so that he can speak to us? Okay, so whilst we work around it and then try to also connect to Right Reverend Professor SAFO-KANTANKA. There's a good thing that I want to talk about this man. Actually, if you look at his drive, Elder, he hates to see poverty. He has been to, I mean, we met somewhere in one of the forums and I was asking him, why is it that within your heart you hate to see poverty? I mean, you just don't want to hear anything called poverty. Then he told me, Jimmy, why?
Hello.
There's a small technical.
All right. Okay. So we are glad that he's online. Okay. Yeah. So, Prof, we are hearing. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
All right. Maybe you have to. Please kindly unmute and then we can hear you clearer. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, we can hear you now. Yeah, thank you for unmuting. Okay, yes, you can speak up a little bit so we can hear you clearly.
Okay, I hear you clearly. I hope you're also hearing me.
Great. Yeah, so Prof, you can go ahead and share with us what the Lord has given you.
Thank you very much, Elder and JB. It's good to see the two of you and to share some thoughts with you. As you have been saying, my concern has been with the issue of poverty in Ghana and in Africa. And after I've written those books, Abraham was rich, Isaac was rich, Jacob was rich, why not you? And Africa shall be free from poverty. The Lord laid it upon my heart that you are concerned about poverty in your country, but the main cause of poverty in your country is the governance system. So I embarked on looking at the governance system of our country, and I was actually led to look at this issue after I studied the book of Nehemiah. And the book of Nehemiah chapter 5, is dealing with Nehemiah as a leader and the people coming to him and complaining that there is a whole group of the governors and the nobles. We're putting them in such a situation that their children even have to work as slaves for them before they could get food to eat. So Nehemiah said, when I heard this, I was angry. And I think that is what the Lord laid upon my heart, that the situation in our country is something that those of us who call ourselves Christians and read the Bible should be seriously concerned about the governance system in our country and how it is making us poorer every day. So that is how because the earlier books, I was just dealing with you as an individual and how the Bible really teaches that wealth creation and all those things, that the patriarchs, who are the foundation of our Judeo-Christian tradition, were not poor people. Abraham, Genesis 13, verse 2 says, Abraham was rich in cattle and silver and in gold. Isaac also was rich. Genesis 20 says, Genesis 30 talks about Jacob. So the fathers of our faith were not poor people. God blessed them. So the real issue I've been dealing with is, why is Africa so poor, especially when we have adopted the Christian faith? And in Ghana, the majority of us claim that we are Christians. So that's what set me to look at what the Lord laid on my heart, that the governance system is a major contributing factor to the poverty which we are going through. And so in the book that you announced, who owns the land and who rules the land, I have sought to look at various aspects of our governance system and to see the factors that are contributing to our poverty and how the governance system continues to make us poor. Anytime we talk about our poverty and the governance system, we always think about the people involved in governance, that is the politicians. But if you look at our system in Ghana, you see that we have our traditional rulers and then we have our, if you want, our civilian rulers. And both of them together are our leaders. So if there's something that is not going right, then we need to start going to the grassroots and to the basis and look at the factors that are contributing to our poverty. Now, in the book, I've looked at a professor who is from Uganda. He's an Indian-born professor at Uganda, and he says the real cause of Africa's poverty is the system of governance which we took over from the colonial masters. In Ghana, the indirect rule which we have, and the system of indirect rule which we continue. But essentially, if you look at our constitution, it is not different, doesn't change from the structure that the colonial administration left with us. And we are still moving on with that system, and it is not helping us. If you heard the vice president, when he was commenting on the fact that the government has to go back to IMF, which is something we are all talking about. And the fact is that this is the 17th time that Ghana is going to the IMF for solutions to our economic problems. The Vice President made a statement, which is very true, and it goes to the root of what I've written about, that over the years, we have not seriously re-examined the basic structure of our economy. We haven't examined the basic structure of our economy. And therefore, we are going through what the colonial master left us. And that is why we don't seem to just know the way out of it. And so we are dealing with a system that calls for us to really go back to the basics. Because if for the 17th time, the government after the Nkrumah's reign have to go back to be bailed out of the economic situation, then we must know that the fundamentals are not right. And actually that is all that the Lord has led me to look at and examine, and to point out that the fundamentals to our governance system, our economy, is not right.
All right.
And so,
yeah, and so I was saying that, so in dealing with the fundamentals, as you said, where do we begin? And it's very interesting, especially the statement you just made, that even a current vice president was trying to justify why we have to go to the IMF, especially when in their regime, a lot of comment has said that going to IMF is a way of trying to selling off your dignity. But by extension, now we are in there, so that once you have said that the fundamentals are wrong and that you have identified, where do we begin and how do we reshape it?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, the fundamentals are not right. And we are following just the what the colonial masters left with us. And that is where the whole thing that is going on, that is where I think the church, and that's why I keep on insisting that we are dealing with movement for the eradication of poverty in Africa through the church. I think that the church has a very important role to play in what we are going through, to draw our attention. And that's why I have written this book. Because if you look at other countries, especially, let's say, the West and so on, there are China and others have changed their system, but we are not talking about systems that do not allow human beings and their rights and freedoms to be exercised and so on. So let's look at the West. And in the book I have written, one Professor Trueblood said that there cannot be any sustainable civilization without a religious basis. And it is true that the civilization of the West has the Bible as the basis. So if the Bible is the basis and God says, I give you the ability to create wealth, and we are reading, we have, I like Ebenezer Elder saying that the Bible is the blueprint for really getting human beings to exercise their freedom and also to develop as God wants them to develop. Somebody has said that God has given us the Bible, which contains all the kinds of things that we need to be able to come out of our poverty. So the church cannot continue to do business as usual and talk about the things we always do and preach about without addressing the real issue of poverty. The church must call the nation's attention. We are not saying that everybody must become become a Christian and so on, but we must call the nation's attention to the fact that the fundamentals are not right and that we need to come together. Our constitution over the years has been exactly just what the PROF left with us. And therefore, we need to examine, for example, in my book, I have said that our financial outlook, what we need to do. We have various issues which we all need to come together and accept. For example, we have issues of an ineffective decentralization system, which puts all the burden of the country's development on the central government. And that's what the Constitution seeks to do. And so you cannot seriously develop a country like ours where the decentralization system is so ineffective. Our people had their chiefs with them and they were going with the chiefs and so on. So if you develop a system where we have the district assemblies, as I said, I've been a member of a district assembly, the presiding member, and so on and so forth. The whole system, there is a disconnect between the way our people want to. You can't have a district assembly where if you want to make toilets or schools for our people, everything has to come from the central government. Yeah.
The question is, all this centralization policy and programs emanates from the constitution of the country. And so
emanates from where?
From the constitution. Is a provision
yes.
that has created.
Yeah, so what all that I'm saying is that the Constitution of Ghana is a relic of the indirect rule which the white man left with us from Nkrumah's time up to this time. For example, if you have a constitution which simply says that the landmass of Ghana is divided into public lands and stool lands, and stool land constitute more than 90% of Ghana's land, and the stool land is in the hands of the chiefs. And they, for example, have to distribute land to people and so on and so forth. And the government is only in charge of what the white man, the colonialist, was in charge of. And therefore, about 10% or less than 10% of the land is vested in the president of the landmass called Ghana on behalf of the people called Ghanaians. And 90% of the landmass Ghana is vested in the stools. And it is the stools who allocate land to people and take their monies from them. I was going to bring a book, but unfortunately I left it behind, which deals with the land allocation. We know the mess in Kumasi, in Accra, in our urban areas, and so on. And we know the amounts of monies that we are practicing a feudal system, a completely disconnect, where a chief may sell a piece of land for more 1 million cedis or whatever, and he pays no tax on it. And yet, the basic development issues at the grassroots has to be carried on by the central administration. If you have this in your constitution, and this is an entrenched provision in the constitution, you cannot touch it. And we cannot sit down and look at these issues, these fundamental issues.
And Prof, just to buttress your point, until recently, where Lands Ministry was trying to, through Parliament, enact certain laws on this issue, even those in trust of the lands are not accountable to even the people they are subject. No, they sell the land. As to how much they use that money for, nobody can question them. They can sell it at a will. The proceeds that comes in is not necessarily for developmental purposes, but he chooses what to do.
No. So it's not just we are practicing governance or politics just like the structures in America, the structures in Europe, and the economics they are talking about inflation and how to change bank rates and change this kind of thing. Of course, that is the kind of thing we studied in school, so they apply those kinds of things. But we are talking about any system of governance I've written in this book that does not lead to an improvement in the lives of those who are governed. It's not right. So if we have a system where land, and what is Ghana? Ghana is a piece of land. That's why I gave the title, Who Owns the Land? The landmass called Ghana is owned by Ghanaians. It's not owned by anybody. It's owned by anybody who calls himself or herself a Ghanaian. And therefore, anybody who is in charge of that land is accountable to the people. You put that in your constitution, and you don't have any system by which you can really ensure that. In fact, if the government has to really take land for anything, they have to pay compensation to those, the chiefs, and so on. This is basic. And when this compensation,
the compensation for, it's up to them.
Well, the compensation goes into the pockets of our chiefs. And therefore, we have a system where land, pieces of land, as I said, I was going to bring this book, which was written by Menchiane, Asante Lands, and how you can purchase land in Asante. And it makes it quite clear that it is no longer drink money that you pay. When you want land for for a factory or for any kind of development, I've written in this book an experience where I wanted, my brother in America wanted me to establish a piece of citrus plantation. And the chief who was responsible, I went to court, and it took 12 years before this was clear. And all the money that was wasted. So you see, you have these fundamentals, which we have not made any attempt to look at all. And then we think that all that we need to do is to take a loan from somewhere else, forgetting that you take a loan and the Bible says that the borrower is a slave to the lender, a clear fact. So whatever we are doing, we are only making ourselves slaves to those who are giving us these monies. And we really have these fundamentals. And my problem is that, talking from the perspective of the church, we see these kinds of things. And the churches, they don't seem to have anything to really question about. When Nehemiah saw these things, and the people came and complained to Nehemiah, that Nehemiah, you are building the walls and we are working with you, but our children have to work as slaves for the nobles and officials. He said, when I heard this, I was angry, and I called their attention and said, what you are doing is wrong. What is the church doing in the face of the poverty that we face? In the face of our governance system always going to IMF the 17th time for us to be bailed out? Whilst we have all these resources, these are the issues that I have discussed, and I began with the chieftaincy institution and their access to land and so on. That is why in this discussion, that's where I'm coming from, because it's a very fundamental issue. If we are not able to look at it, and people are selling land for dollars and thousands and millions of cedis, and yet have nothing to do with building of schools, building of toilets. District assemblies are appointed by the president, and 30% of the people who are there are also appointed by the president, and the chiefs are sitting in their places, and the assemblyman is now the one who beats gong for people to go for what kind of way that will bring improvement. Then we have a problem with our governance system. And we think that we can follow the system that Britain is doing. We can follow the system that America is doing. We can go to parliament and have a discussion and do all that, elect a speaker and all that, and go through all of this, when we haven't gone through the fundamentals. So in this book, I'm discussing what I call a bifurcated state. A state that is one, but at some point it has been divided into two. The chieftaincy institution has its own administrative and even judicial system, whilst we have a civilian system and judicial. So we don't have it right as a governance system. It is all coming from us, and we are only practicing what they have left with us. And that's why we are constantly facing from no government. I have put down in this book, no political party can get us out of our system. Look at all the things that Nana Addo and Bawumia tweeted, and yet look at the way they have to go back and take their own ways. Look at our own brother who quotes the Bible and so on every time, the finance minister. Yes, I know him, he's a good Christian. He talked about the fact that Caleb said we can do it. And yet he has to take back his own words. So we have a system that the whole nation, it's not a question of the party politics and we are practicing it and so on. I think we have got it all wrong and we must go back to the basics.
And so, I mean, listen from your delivery, what I have identified is that you are calling for a review of the Constitution.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure you were in this country during the days of Professor Mills, late. A commission was established to do a simple thing. They went around the country, collated people's views, had a lot of input. In the end, a document was presented for certain changes to be made. President John Dramani Mahama, our former president, was then the vice president. He became the president. Nothing had happened. When Nana Addo was in opposition, then vying for this current state as president, there were certain things that he said that when he comes in, he will make sure that certain things that are inconsistent with our development, which are from the Constitution, will be changed. Nothing has changed. And so, with this calling, how do we start it? How do we begin it? And you are laying the challenge at the doorsteps of the church. Where do we start with constitutional review?
Yeah, I think the church in Africa has got it, I wouldn't say all wrong. The church has done a lot. But look at South Africa. It was Desmond Tutu who led. Yeah, Mandela and the others, they were in prison. And it was a church led by Desmond Tutu who stood and fought and even got a Nobel Prize for peace and things like that. And at the end of the day, it was heard. You see, when you go to Latin America, the church is more of what? Liberation theology. They are more concerned about what? The lives of our people. I have a book, and the title is Let My People Live. Not live, L-E-A-V-E, but L-I-V-E. And they are talking about the role of the church in making sure that the people own the land and that they can really make use of the land and get out of the poverty. We have the and we represent about 70% of the people called Ghanaians. And yet, we seem to create the impression that so far as governance is concerned, they will come to us and then we pray for them. And then I know they have some platforms, but the platforms have become platforms of discussing and going to see people and all those kinds of things. I think the time has come, because I firmly believe that if the church cannot mobilize our people to demand that, look, because as you rightly said, Professor Mills asked that these things be looked at. And the new government comes and they throw it away. There has to be, it's not just civil society groups, but the church should provide leadership. The church should really set up a group that should be able to study. For example, this book that I have written, as a church leader, looking at all these issues and putting it out there, is it a concern of the church that let's see what our brother is saying, and let's see whether there is a serious issue that we, and I'm happy Elder and UJB and the others have said, no, let's start talking about this issue. But it should not just be a talk show, but challenging our churches, our church leadership, that the time has come that they should take their time and look at some of the issues that some of us are raising, and then begin to put some of these things into the political agenda of the nation. That we cannot go into the 9th parliament of the Fourth Republic with this same kind of constitution, and then we just vote people in and hope that things will change when we know that the fundamentals are not right. For example, why do we have Council of State, which the Constitution says has no power, no legislative power? And why do we just put this institution there? To do what for us? Why do we have what? Directive principles of state policy. We said that when a government comes, whatever project one has started, they must make sure that they finish before they embark on something else. And the politicians are just going on with impunity. And yet, there's nothing in the Constitution which compels. And we as citizens, we are not having our church leaders leading us to challenge some of these things, because all we are concerned is that we must pray with our members. God's time is the best. God will help us, and so on and so forth. And so the whole system needs a real rethinking. And I'm praying that some of these discussions that we are having will cause our church leadership to really come, not just sit down. We don't need to just be called to form peace council, so that when there is a problem, then we call them and say, hey, and all those kinds of things. The church should be able to do more than that. In other parts of the world, at least in South Africa, it was Desmond Tutu. And I'm hoping that the church in South Africa will again pick itself up, because Desmond Tutu worked and they got political independence. We have got our political independence, but we are still struggling with our economic independence. And we read in the Bible, when they got to Gilgal, God said, today I have removed the reproach of Egypt from you. And the Bible says on that same day, the manna stopped, which means God was saying, hey, I have gotten you out of Egypt's bondage, but now you must work in order for you to be able to solve your economic problem. We are struggling with our economic problems, and we read the Bible every day. And the Bible has all of this to tell us that the blueprint for success comes from knowing the Bible and living your life according to what the Bible teaches. Why are we not talking about these issues when we go to church and mobilize our people for the transformation of our country?
All right, Prof. And so this question, Elder want to come in quickly.
Okay.
So, Prof, the interesting thing is that the politicians are also, majority of them are Christian. So the
are also in the church.
They are also in the church.
Yeah.
So I like really made us understood this evening that when the fundamentals are wrong,
yeah,
nothing can be done. So therefore we have to go back to the basics. Tonight you have raised two major issues: issue about the constitution, and then the role of the church. For the Church of Pentecost, I hope you are aware that the current leadership is looking at the issue of possessing the nation agenda with the kingdom principle.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? And then, like now, you are advising the church to go back to the basis as far as the well-being and the welfare of the members are concerned, in order to take us out of poverty. So I want you to just throw a bit light on having known, and then the kind of recommendation also give us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to follow
I've had the
you.
opportunity to talk to what you call youth political forum. But what I see the Church of Pentecost doing, at least from the youth political forum, is to train people, young people, who will understand the kind of system that we are doing and prepare themselves. And that is good on a long-term basis. The theme for the Church of Pentecost is apt, possessing the nations. Possessing the nations does not only rest with getting people to come to know Christ. It is the fundamental, it is the basis. But I think there is something more than that. When you read the book of Nehemiah, chapter 5, as I said, he said, I was angry. And he said, I called the nobles and the officials and said, hey, what you are doing is not right. And that these people, I like the statement that he made. He says, look, we have struggled to get our people from being enslaved by the Gentiles, only for you yourself to enslave our own people. And that is precisely what is happening in Africa. We have struggled, Kwame Nkrumah, J.B. Dampers, and all those, the Aborigines Right Protection Society had to go to Britain and really protest against what? The PROF taking our land like they did in South Africa. They did that, and then they saw wisdom in what our intellectuals were saying. And that is where the school lands and public land issue began from. So what I have discussed in the book is, look, Mensa Saba and the others solved the problem for us. But there's a new problem. The new problem is that the officials and the nobles, who are our own blood, our own kith and kin, are now in charge, and they are making us to suffer. And so we, the church, must act like Nehemiah did. I'm not asking for what demonstrations and whatever and so on, and riots, and no. But we must really get our parliamentarians and our people really, and we, I sometimes I challenge our pastors. I say that our president can speak to the nation, and therefore he has that audience. But every Sunday, there's a minister who is speaking to a certain section of the Ghanaian population. If 70% of Ghanaians are Christians, and let's assume that 25% go to church every Sunday, who is speaking to them? Is it not the OSOF? So why should the OSOFs not really get to know what our constitution says? Why should the OSOFs not get to know the potential that is possible for us to be able to overcome? And then we just go and we don't seem to educate our people up. And the Bible said, because our people lack the knowledge, they are destroyed. So we as a church should not just be talking about sometimes we confuse ourselves and we think that what? Preach the gospel, people must be saved. I want to insist that a lot of people will go to hell because of poverty and what it leads them to do. If we ignore the issue of poverty from the pulpit and not really bring the issue of poverty to our people and let them understand that God has, you see, there's also this other aspect, the mindset of our people that must change. The dominion mandate that God has given us and all those kinds of things. Who has to change us? And the Bible says in Romans 12, be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. So
okay,
if
Prof.
the church is not going to focus on
yes, Prof.
Let me break here.
All right, so Prof, there are people on the line who also want to share one or two things with us, probably a question or a comment. And so those of you who are watching us by Zoom, please unmute. And then it's your time for you to also let us hear your view quickly.
We have General Mike Apatu. Raise the hand.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you so very much. Prof, I think I am 100% in support of what you are talking about. I think we have gotten everything wrong. The whole educational system from the colonial era to today, we have been misled totally. And instead of we reawakening ourselves, we think that this 1992 constitution can solve the problem. It's a failure, it's a non-starter. We need a total overhaul. We need a completely new constitution. What the 1992 constitution did was to give us that political stability. We thank God. we have attained that stability. What we need next is an economic emancipation, which will be very, very hard on corruption, which will hold our leaders accountable. And I think that if the church, all they can do, like you are saying, is to preach salvation and then preach prosperity in the Bible without physically educating the people to go down to the grassroots and then working with our chiefs. I've been asking ourselves, have we ever thought about how our ancestors ruled our country before the white man came?
Yes.
How was the Asante Kingdom, the Mali Kingdom, the Songhai Kingdom? How were they so prosperous? How did they build those big, big cities? And the white man came, colonized us, and then gradually started giving us some freedoms, liberties. And after they have left, where they left off, our own intelligentsia took over, and they have messed this country. We cannot tell them they are afraid. Our church leaders are afraid to tell them that this you are doing is wrong. And we are always, kowtowing and worshiping them more or less. We can't tell them in their face. So I agree with you totally. We need a total change, transformation from where we are going. This 1992 constitution will never deliver the peace and stability that we need. It will never. Let's change government over and over. And if we don't take care, God has spared Ghana. I'm so happy that we have got this stable country and this peaceful country. But people are getting to a level that at some point in time, they will just get fed up. And we have an Arab Spring on our hands. Exactly. Are we bothered about the future of our children, our children's children? Here we are today, 2022, 17 times the IMF. And we are proud people are still going around and they are making elections that are still wasting money on all these things. I'm all with you, Prof. I'll link up with you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll link up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We still have Stella on the line. So Stella, kindly unmute and let's hear your comment.
Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Thank you for your submission. I wanted to ask, the ministers who preach to us every Sunday, I don't know how their training was being done. Have they inculcated financial training into their training as being a minister and even learning a bit of the Constitution? Because if they don't have it, they don't have the knowledge and skill, they can't just pass it on, is it?
Yeah, you're right.
All right, Prof.
It's just like
Prof,
our educational. Pardon?
Yes, kindly hold on. We want to pick an.
Okay.
Yes, Nyankoma, please unmute and let's hear your views.
Hello.
Nyankoma.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. I've heard all that you have said. It looks as if to me the lamentation has become too much. I think the church must be a solution provider. Like all that you said, whatever we do, I think last year or two, this current president wanted to decentralize the MMDC by voting. And this whole thing became a brawl in the country. I did not hear the voice of the church. And our problem is fundamental, bread and butter. I think there's something unique the Church of Pentecost is doing, which I think we must upscale it. Recently, I was following them. They are doing some irrigation in the northern region. And all that you are saying, boils down to that. It's economic emancipation. If the church can lead in that direction, I don't think land issue will come to play when we involve the community, the chiefs, and they use their land as equity. This country or West Africa, all that we need is grain to survive. Can the church lead a massive project where we produce grain to supply West Africa, where we produce grain to supply Africa? That is where the real power will come. It's not about changing constitution and all that. I think if we change the constitution and people are hungry, whatever good thing we put in the constitution, nobody will be ready to even and reason with you with that change. We need to move, the church needs to move to the ground, become practical on the ground. If it is farming project, we do it on a large scale to affect the members and the community. That is where real power will come. When we have the economic power, we can easily influence all the policies that you are talking about. So I think that should be our focus. Thank you.
And maybe we can talk to lawyer Adiobo, please. Uncle George, please unmute.
Thank you, Elder. Thank you so much. I have listened attentively to the submissions of Professor. Sorry. And I'm so much carried away. Now, the fact of the matter is that the church has not really lived up to expectation. I wouldn't say the church has failed us, but they have not lived up to expectation. Now, if you go to my office in Accra here, there's an inscription on the wall right at the entrance into my chambers that you cannot cure poverty with prayer, or you cannot cure laziness with prayer. That is the real thing there. You cannot cure laziness with prayer. And if you do not work hard, you spend the rest of your life in churches saying, I receive it, unquote. I don't know whoever the quotation is attributed to, but that is it. Our churches tend to preach more of prosperity, more of salvation, rather than teaching how to make money, we say that if you become poor or if you live in abject poverty, you are hell-bound. Now in Genesis chapter 15, God told, that was the first commandment God gave to Adam: work and take care of the garden. What was he to work with? He was to work with his talents, the God-given talents. God didn't give him any wheelbarrow, any spanner, any chisel, any tool, but God commanded him to work and take care of the garden. So that is it. We have to work. We are not taught in our schools how to work. So I'm even carrying the argument beyond the constitution, beyond the church. Now in our educational system, what do? We teach people how to be job seekers and not to be job creators. Who was first in school, who had first class, who had second class up. We clap and forget the rest of them. I mean, we have to change all this system that we inherited from the colonial system. It is not supporting our system. And we shall continue to live in abject poverty if we do not change these things. Why should God endow Africa with about 80% of the world's natural resources, yet Africa remains poor and impoverished? These are food for thought. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's coming now.
Also, Dr. Kwe, if you are ready, kindly unmute and let's hear your comment before.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm impressed about the presentation by Prof and all the contributions. I think that there are great brains on this platform. And I want to commend JB and Meda Champon for creating this forum for very important and serious discussions of this nature. Just want to comment Prof again and also add a little voice to the discussion that is going on. I think that he has hit the nail right on the head. What I want to add is the fact that we also need to look at the mindset, the worldview of the humans we are dealing with. I think our major problem is that our mindset is wrong. Our thinking, you see, we can change everything. We can even change the constitution. If the mindset doesn't change, nothing significant. I tell my youth that, look, when we demote all these politicians and we carry a new crop of people into politics, let's go and dethrone or disown all the chiefs and bring new people to become chiefs. If the mindset doesn't change, our behavior and actions are going to be the same. So I think that, yes, we will need to have a serious plan that will be targeted towards the next generation. For me, that is where I think our breakthrough is going to come from. Let's look at what we are teaching in the schools. Again, I will agree that what we teach in the church is very crucial and important to our liberation. So let's look at education. For me, I think it's going to be the foundation to everything. Spiritual education and academic education. These two factors, if we get it right, and the people get the right lessons from the pulpit and the right lessons from the classroom, then we are sure that we are going on the right way. I think somebody was asking a question, even in our Bible schools, what is it that we teach? Are people introduced to the Constitution? Do they even know what is happening in the country? That if they are leading the 71.2 people who claim to be Christians, what are we telling them when we teach them at the church? So I think that what we teach people to go and practice is crucial to this discussion. So thank you very much. That's what I want to add.
Thank you. Last one, Daniel, please.
JB, I think we can't hear you. There's something wrong with your sound. It's quite low.
We can't hear you too. We can't hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. I must say that this discussion or this forum is one of a kind, and it is very timely. Of course, I've had our senior clergy people commenting on most of the things that were shared here and their contribution as well, but I wouldn't repeat whatever they have said. But then there are other fundamental issues that we have to, as a nation. We live in a country whereby the imports of commodities that come into the country cannot be compared to the export rate. What we export are not to be exported, but we do export them. For example, in Ghana, we have crude oil, yet we don't have refinery, and we export our raw crude in its raw state to the developed country, and they add value to it and they bring them in Ghana. These are some of the things that is, causing the inflation rate and all that. Now, as far as this forum is concerned, I'm looking at what kind of solutions that we can come together and bring to the table for the nation as a whole to look at it to help in our development. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
you.
Yes, we can hear you, please.
And in Ghana, for instance, we have good lands. We cultivate crops and we export these products in its raw state to the developed world until they add value to it. Then we go back and buy. These are some of the things that are affecting our economy. For example, another thing that we did, this government started with this, is it
I think that your point is well made. we've understood your point. Thank you so much for also joining to let your views be heard here. We are grateful to you and all those of you who have contributed. We thank you so much, and we have really, really enjoyed your company. We are hoping that this forum will continue. But before we hand over to our main speaker for today, Prof, we would like to thank you that this forum that we've started, in fact, it's not a 9-day wonder. We are serious people and want to take it to another level. And I like one of the comments that the contributor said, that we must generate and proffer ideas, solutions. Exactly what we are going to do. It's not only about lamentation and telling out the story. As for the problems in Ghana, I am sure that 90% of Ghanaians understands it. What we want to deal with now is the solution. How do we provide tangible solutions that will bring liberations to the people and better the lives of the people? And so that's exactly what we want to do. And so quickly, we'll move back to you, Prof. We wanted to wrap up in 5 minutes. I mean, sum up for us. And then,
I think, JB, I really wanted to make a contribution, JB.
As God grants that when we meet, we can continue the discussion, Prof.
Hi, JB. I wanted to make a contribution, and I was not called, or I didn't hear you. Then I didn't hear it because your sound was very low.
Oh, okay.
Can I go ahead?
If you can be brief, just a minute contribution, and then we are done. Jumbo.
Well, let me do so.
Yeah.
Mine is not about lamentation, but rendering a solution.
Okay.
I believe in rendering solutions. Okay. So all that we've done, I agree with all the speakers and all that we have said.
Yeah.
But to render a solution, let us go the way of Ephraim. Let us go by example. On Sundays, I'm a member of a Church of Pentecost. On Sundays, our pastors, apostles, whatever, the pastorate wear suits. Now, can we say that the suit that we wear, or the numbers, are the suits produced by Ghanaian tailors? If they are not, and we wear imported suit, we are actually taking our money out and giving jobs to other people. So we really critically need to look at our consumption habits. That is the main crux of the matter, because nobody can force me to eat a Thai rice or rice from India or anything. Nobody can force me. I have my money and I go to the shop to buy Ghana rice and eat Ghana rice. So I am putting my money where I want the development to be. So let us be development oriented. And let's to quickly put in this. Of all the successive governments that have ruled Ghana, there's a major problem with the Krobo area, the Shire area, where the colonial administration took over the lands. And none of the successive governments after the colonial administration have returned the lands to the people. So where are we going from there? And also, as I said, I'm a member of Church of Pentecost. We like to do hero worshiping. This is where the elder sits. This is what this is saying. Even when the pastor is saying something that is technically wrong, they are not trained to dilate on such issues. They want to dilate on the issues. Use professionals, use experts, and let them do the job. With all the problems we have, I think we Ghanaians can solve the problem. And God bless Prof for making submission. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much also for your contribution. So Prof, we'll come to you for 5 minutes. You wrap up with us, and we must also admit and say to you that this program is also produced by an array of companies. Patos is agro company. There are a lot of them. Will be telling you more company that are sponsoring us as well. So Prof, we come to you for 5 minutes wrap up, and then we are done for today. Hello, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so please
can you hear
go
me?
ahead.
Okay, I want to show my appreciation so much to you, Ebenezer and JB. We have known you guys, and I'm happy that we can work together to promote this great agenda of our God and our risen Christ. I'm guided by the issue of Nehemiah, and I am consumed. I tell people this is my burden, and we need to work towards it. some of the comments that people have just made. I think somebody said the church must, we need spiritual or mindset change, which is a major area for the church to deal with, as well as our educational system. I've discussed all of these things in the book. It's about what, 560 pages, hard copy book that is dealing with all the background as far as I can know, the way our political system started, the educational system, where we are now, and the challenge, the way we are now churning out. We've reformed our educational system. During my time, we spent about 27 years or so. We came out of the investment, we were about 27 years or plus. Now people are coming out of the university around 22 years. 5 years have been chopped out of the system, which is good. And yet the economy, the industries, whatever, the universities are not expanding in terms of equipping our young people. Ghana, our young people cannot wait. Somebody warned us, and DW has a program said that 77% that Africa's young people, those below the age of 35, constitute 77% of Africa's population. What can we do about this? The situation is not, let's just go on and things will change. So I think tonight we have brought the issue at the, and as Christians, I'm happy we really focus the fact that the church has a major role to play. If for nothing at all, we focus our teaching on the mindset change that our people must have in order for us to be able to really, God says, I've taken away the shame of Egypt at Gilgal, and now you must get economic independence. We also have to get ourselves together and, for lack of a better word, confront the powers that be, as Nehemiah did. Let nobody tell us that you are suffering, just wear your cassocks and go and pray for the nation, and you have nothing to say about the governance system of the country. We have all to say about the country. We carry the majority with us. 70% of Ghanaians claim that they are Christians, and we must move along with them and bring the liberation, the dignity of the human being, the dignity of the African. The whole world should not look on Africa as the poor continent and look at us, and our young people are crossing the Mediterranean and dying in the sea, crossing the Sahara and all those, and our people who are in governance seem not to care, and we also seem to fold in our hands. I thank God for this opportunity. The books are available. If you go to our bookshops, you go to the Methodist bookshop especially, and Kumasi and the Kingdom bookshop at the UK University. You get copies. Let's look at the issues. 560 pages of issues concerning our country. Don't let us think that it's only the lawyers who can understand our governance system. It affects us, and we need to understand it and address the issue together. God, I thank you again, and God bless all those who have listened. Let's continue, and the way will be clear.
Yeah, but the promise is that, Prof, next week you're also coming again, because we couldn't exhaust almost some of the issues that we wanted to deal with. So
no, I mean, there are all kinds of issues that we can take. I'm always ready and available.
Yeah. So God willing, next week is a promise.
Okay, I will be ready. God willing. Thank you, JB and Ebenezer.
Yeah. Okay. So those of you who are still online, the book that we are referring to is Who Owns the Land and Who Rules the Land. Is available at all bookshops. You can just go in there and buy. The author is Right Reverend Professor OSEI SAFO-KANTANKA. So that's the title. Abraham was rich, Isaac was rich, Jacob was rich. Why not me? Volume 3. So we have 1, 2, and 3. They are available. And then also, Africa shall be free from poverty, fulfilling God's desire for the prosperity of Africa. We have volume 1, 2, and 3, and 4. There are other books as well. And so these are books from Prof. Get into the market, you get them. If you need some, certainly you can call us and then we'll also help you out. But before I go to the vision bearer, let me also announce to you that we are proudly sponsored by Patos Agric Limited. They are into agricultural product development. Patos Agro Limited. And then we have, they also produce Hima Royal Rice. It's a purely Ghanaian rice, so you better eat the local rice. Don't go and buy foreign one and give them that money, and later you come back to the country and say our city has depreciated. Buy the Ghanaian made rice. Or Hima Royal Rice is also sponsoring us. Pato AIB Limited also our sponsor this morning. And then Biazo Retreat Limited. They are the ex-state agencies who are also sponsoring us this evening. We want to wrap up, but we want to go to the vision bearer. Your quick assessment, Elder Benedict Champon, today being the first time we're organizing this Kingdom Economic Forum. Your impressions about the contribution, what has been delivered so far, and what's the promise going forward?
All right, thank you very much, JB. And we want to appreciate all those who were able to link up and have been able to listen through this program. We want to thank Prof for availing himself. I am so delighted. And beloved, we have so much in store. This is not a talk show. This is a program that we are soliciting ideas where at the end of the day, we want to see the impact on the lives of Ghanaians. Let me announce that Prof issue of the change of the constitution, some aspect, there's a movement that has been formed called Ghana First Movement, which we're going to solicit about 1 million signatures. And I believe that when the system is set, all of you will be able to help us to get it and force our government to make sure that they review the constitution for the betterment of our nation. Even though the issue of mindset have been mentioned, but the truth is that if you don't have the right foundation as far as the constitution is concerned, even when you have the right mindset, it will be difficult for you to operate within wrong foundation. So we want us to work all aspects together. And I tell you, we have so many other people whom God has given ideas that we will be bringing on this forum. We are saying that this is idea generation forum, where we are going to give solution to not only Ghana, governments in Ghana, but Africa. We want to take our rightful position. God bless all of us and see you next time. Next week, Saturday, God willing, we are coming. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And those of you who watch us, God bless you. And we really love you. Continue to pray for us, especially the vision bearer. And then all the guys behind the scenes, Asmani is also around. He's written a lot of books. And then we also thank you, Cherry, for the great job done at the MCR, Felix, and all the guys who came around, or anybody and co. You guys are great. You've done your man's job. And Apostle Chekwe also joining. He has also written a lot of books. We'll be bringing them to you. See, we want to empower you. We want to help you by providing the right books, that information that will also help you to push the agenda forward. When you are enlightened and then and you are well informed, certainly you can possess every space that you are. And so the book, once again, yes,
let me make a quick comment on the book. Beloved, even though it's about 560 pages, when you start reading this book, you won't put it there. I have finished reading it, and I tell you, you will love this. It's full of solution, full of solution. So please, I want to encourage. Somebody was asking about the price. We'll give you the information, please. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. So we'll see you next week. Until then, may the good Lord keep us all. Bye-bye. We thank you for great.
Bye.